Welcome to the Massacre Matinee.
Welcome to the bonus episode. It's just Mingus today. I did actually record this with Kate, but the recording went bad on me, and she doesn't, we're not going to be able to get together in time before this is going to be posted. So I'm going to tell you a story of how not all true crime is a murder story. This one actually happened with one of my employees. A little bit of backstory on that. This guy and his girlfriend actually lived with my younger sibling, and at one point they had some really nasty animal neglect stuff. Ultimately, they kept a cat locked in a room. The cat didn't survive, and I found the cat 6 months later mummified. So, not exactly the greatest people necessarily, at least not in my personal experience. But this particular gentleman and his girlfriend both worked for a burger franchise that I also worked for. I was managing, one of the shift managers at that franchise, and they came and they kind of begged us for work, for lack of a better way to put it, and we were desperate for people because we were losing people at that location a lot. So we were like, all right, we'll give it a go, and we hired them. And you know, it never fails. If you're going to have a bad employee, you'll always lose them as soon as they get that first paycheck. And they worked for 2 weeks. I don't even remember if she made it quite to 2 weeks, but he made it until he got that first paycheck. And that particular evening, he decided that that money just wasn't enough. And this particular location was in the food court of a shopping mall down in Wisconsin. Now, you might be able to find information on this, but for my own peace of mind, I'm not going to include any names of the perpetrator or of the companies that are involved. So, the food court closes down at 10 o'clock. And normally, if I was working a closing shift, I liked to stay and make sure that my employees got to their cars safely, and we'd all kind of leave the lot at the same time. It's the middle of a city. It's late at night. A fair amount of the employees were women, so we were all just trying to stick together and take care of each other in that regard. But this particular night, I was not working. Otherwise, this might not have happened. So this gentleman decided this paycheck isn't enough, or something, for whatever reason. He just decided, you know what? I'm going to break into the sporting goods store, and I'm going to get some stuff. So, Now, keep in mind, he had just finished a shift at the burger restaurant, so he still had his uniform on from that restaurant. Now, what he did was he threw on a white, hazmat, not really a hazmat suit, but one of those white coveralls that zips up in the front, usually has the little hood. You'll see him on, CSI shows and stuff. He grabbed one of those, some gloves, and a mask to cover his face, kind of disguise himself a little bit, not that it helped, and he climbed on top of a dumpster to scale the building. Now, my understanding from hearing the situation from management is he actually parked his car next to the dumpster and then used his car to get onto the dumpster and then onto the building. And this was a building that had big bay windows up on a second-story area to let light into the store during the daytime kind of thing, cut costs, and that's where he decided that he was going to break a window and climb in. And there actually was a ladder that I don't recall if he brought it with him or if it was just nearby, but he was able to use a ladder to climb down right next to where the guns were being kept. And that breaking window actually set an alarm off, and all of a sudden there's cops there. And this mall had 24-hour security regardless. There was always at least somebody on site. So the cops show up and they're looking around. They can't really find anything. So they check out security and they're like, oh, he's still in the store. So they were actually able to use the security cameras to figure out where he was hiding. So they go into the store and they apprehend him and they put him in handcuffs. And then he decides, well, you got me cuffed, but you can't catch me. And he tries to run away, and they catch him again. And what they found was 3 backpacks that he had brought with him. One of them, he had 15 boxes of ammunition that he was intending to steal to go along with the the rifles that they had found in another bag. And there is a theory that he was going for 3 rifles. There's some news reports say 2, some say 3. They didn't really let us know too much. They actually called the general manager to be like, do you know that this is happening? Like, and our GM had no idea what was going on. None of us had any idea what was going on. But in the third bag, they found a propane blowtorch and an extra propane tank for it. So he decided he was going to break in with a blowtorch and a hammer and a ladder or something like that. One of the responding police departments, one of the lieutenants of the responding police departments was actually quoted saying that he couldn't think of another burglary that he had seen that compared to something like this just because of what he went through to get in the building. And part of the problem was he didn't figure out how to get out, I guess. So he would have been kind of stuck in there anyway, I think. I'm not sure if the ladder helped him out, would have helped him out to get back out. But normally, from what this lieutenant said, he said typically it's like a smash and grab kind of thing. They're just going to break a window, grab something, and get the hell out of there, and not that much planning is going into it. But they did have him on surveillance video taking 2 rifles out of their cases. The officers are glad that they stopped him from ending up on the streets. He was set with a $75,000 bail. Now, he was looking at up to 30 years in prison. This actually happened back in 2017. And in 2020, I believe he appealed to get out. And I think he was denied, but he did end up getting out. I was able to look up that in more recent years, he seems to have a problem with speeding. So I guess he didn't really learn too terribly much. But that's the story of how one of my employees tried to use the job to scout a sporting goods store to try and rob the place, and thankfully he failed. Not all true crime cases are murder. Just like Monday's episode, sometimes those murdered victims become murder survivors. And sometimes true crime cases come in small packages. We'll see you guys on Monday for the main episode, and this time I'll bring Kate along. Bye.